Hello, beautiful souls, and welcome back. This is Rada, and today I'm here with Miss Gila. Hello, Gila.
Hey, how are you?
I'm good. We decided to just have an impromptu conversation about, the current challenges going on in the world and in our world because we live, in very different places. Gila, can you share where you are right now?
Yeah, I live in the northern part of Israel, and as many people may know, there's a current war going on. It's very much real. I laugh to make it light, but it is not at all light. It's quite heavy.
Mm. And we were talking, was it yesterday or the day before? And there was a large sound bomb or something that went off that really shook the house, shook up the house, shook up the emotions, and everybody maybe received it differently. But could you just share a little bit about that experience?
Yeah, it was a bit jarring, I think people might have read about it, but it was like early in the morning. And I don't have to go into the political scene, but it was
Mm-hmm.
just like, I like woke up and I just hear these like really loud sounds that seem really close. And I just, and my daughter got up too. She's actually, she's in the army, but she was at home. And we were kind of scared. My dog immediately went to the bomb room, it was just like, what's going on? And we thought, sometimes we hear these kinds of things and we think it's going to stop, but it didn't really stop. It was like kept going.
Mm-hmm.
And like you're kind of like, whether I was in REM sleep and I was this light sleep, I don't know where I was, but it was like hard to settle down and relax
Yeah.
again. So, like I'm checking my group, our what's group WhatsApp, what's going on, people are talking about it. And it just like it becomes really disturbing. It's no longer something that's kind of out there because we live
It's
in a
somewhere
really
else,
area,
right?
and so we don't really hear it or feel it as much, even though we know it's going on and there's tension in the entire country. But suddenly it became, it feels close. It feels like your life is at risk
Mm-hmm. Wow.
and you don't really know like what's next.
Oh my goodness. I mean, yeah, I think it's terrifying. Let's just be real. Let's just be totally real. It's a really it's a very delicate time in this world, and I'm just feeling so much, I keep praying and sending so much love because I can't imagine how terrifying it must be to be, in that center, especially since since stuff went off, like that's pretty
Hmm.
serious, and you actually felt it shake in your house. And, we don't have to get into the politics of it, but this is about war. And I believe in many ways that we are in a World War III. It may be a different kind of war for many, for which wherever you might live, but we're seeing the war on free speech. We're seeing the war on everyday people, at least in America. Our prices of our food have gone up 30%. And that's a lot for somebody.
Yeah,
Like
that's a lot.
one hour of minimum wage won't even get you lunch. You know what I mean? So
Mm.
this is the reality that we're in, is that these are challenging times and everyone is facing them in different ways. In Europe, there's a huge war against free speech and people are getting severely censored. And I'm not saying that's also happening here in the USA now. So it's actually a global, epidemic here. And so I just wanted to kind of touch base and have like a real conversation because, what's going on is affecting all of us. We're all being affected differently. And it's certainly like, terrifying to be in a place where, there are bombs going off, and you can feel it in your home. That brings up this, I feel like there's this ancestral fight or flight where our ancestors have already been through so many different kinds of wars or famine or the Great Depression, like all of these things. And so it's in our DNA stored as a memory. And so it does something to us. It starts to activate these memories.
Yeah, I think that's true. I just want to circle back to like sometimes we feel like it's not here. Like I remember I think during the Iraq War or something, I was in India and we saw on the screen, these like missiles or whatever. Like it was just all like lights or whatever. And it seemed kind of far away, but in actuality, nothing really that's happening if we know that we're all connected through our hearts or through energy,
Mhm.
like we're not actually in a safe, we're not really in a safe zone, like no one's really safe.
Yeah.
And they're just different, everyone has their different issues that are immediate physical, but then and I think we have this empathy. It's like
Mhm.
when the Ukraine war was going on, I was hearing things about it, it wasn't here, but I had suddenly this like open heart, like, wow, what
Mhm.
are they going through? What is happening? How are these people feeling? And so now that it's here, even though I've never been through something like this in my life, and there's a sense of like it's not here, it's there, but
Mhm.
in
Right.
but then when it becomes closer and closer, you're like, and I think you're right, it activates these memories that are hidden in our soul, or like are not hidden, but like not in our our
Mhm.
everyday mental consciousness. It is in a, and so then it becomes activated, and it's like, and then it's like this, and then we have to put it into the frame of like, okay, you know what do I do, like
Mhm.
you don't think of it as just like a fight or flight anymore, let's just say. You're like,
Mhm.
okay, I'm not that, but where am I?
Mhm.
Like when you can see the bigger picture and you know that this is here for a purpose, all those things we've always talked about,
Mhm. Mhm.
but it still doesn't make sense, you
Right.
know
War
and so
never
you're just
makes sense.
right. And so then you're just at this loss, like we are people of words, right? And
Mhm.
I want to write, but I don't even know what to say. Um,
Mhm.
so it's this very, and I've never really had a loss of words, especially from journaling. I'm not really writing for someone, right? I'm just writing for myself, but I don't even know what's going on.
Mm.
Um,
Shock and trauma.
the
I
kind
think
of
I feel like the shock and trauma, the fight and flight mode where we kind of get frozen, our brain kind of jams up because we don't know. Should we run? Should we just breathe? Like,
right.
what do
Yeah,
we
no,
do?
exactly.
And this is it's been tragic. Like every time there's been a war, I feel it in my heart. Like it just feels like another breaking. It
Hmm.
doesn't matter if it's in another country because we are all one, we're one human race, right? So
Hmm.
we may not, I mean, there's a lot of divide and tension, but that doesn't mean that we're not one human. We live on planet Earth together. Like
Hmm.
we are one. We've been so entrained to divide and conquer in every facet of our life, in every facet of our own being. We even do this with ourselves, divide and conquer. I need to lose 10 pounds, so I need to divide and conquer myself and punish
Hmm.
myself. And I mean, the war never ends, right? So
Mm.
I'm talking about, how this parallels into the bigger picture. And then how do we deal with what we're being faced with, internally and externally? How do we reckon with this? How do we find our footing, our grounding, our voice? And that's the first thing that goes is usually our voice, usually our ability to be articulate on things because of the fear, you know?
Mhm.
And so I think that's actually a better time that we need to start speaking more because that's the whole regime is like oppression and to shut up and to shut down. They want us to shut down. Ultimately, it becomes so overwhelming that we can't process it anymore. There's no more processing, space for this. And so what happens is we just shut down mentally and emotionally, and we become numb. Um and so during it, like, right, this just happened. How many days ago did this just happen?
What's happened yesterday?
Yesterday. Yeah, yesterday. Oh my gosh, it's just unreal. It's so unreal. And I saw that in the news, and I thought of you. I was like, oh my gosh, like, it's not some just far off land. Like, I have people I care about there, and so it becomes like you said, it becomes real. It becomes real. So I would like you to just, you don't have to articulate, but speak into what this is meant for you.
Yeah, I mean, I think that it's just this, I mean, I could just talk about feelings, right? I'm all about feelings. So
Mhm.
it's like this unsettling, and as a parent as well, you want to encourage your children, but then you also feel like, what can you say? Like there's no guarantee, I guess that's that feeling of like there's no guarantee about the next moment,
Mhm.
and then when it's like, all those words that Eckhart Tolle said, it is really the now, that's really
Mhm.
all you have is
Mhm.
that moment, that hug you give to your child, or that word, good or bad, you say to someone, it's just, and you're, and I guess the dichotomy is, the challenge is like, then we were yellow yesterday in our application to see like if everything is okay in your area. We were yellow, and then we turned green. So like now things should be as usual. But how could that be?
Mhm.
Like how can we operate as usual? Like every day something's happening in this country where somebody might have died, or someone was at risk, or something has happened. And
Mhm.
so, and we're still like, as you said, we're all beings, we are taking in the energy, trying to release it. And where is that energy going?
Mhm.
So I guess like on a spiritual level, like I'm here for a reason and all that other stuff, but on a very kind of, like you said, real grounded level, the ground is tainted with blood,
Oof.
honestly. It is. It just is
Mhm.
everywhere, right? It
Mhm.
doesn't matter if I'm here, I'm in the United States, I'm in
Mhm.
Australia. Someone died.
Mhm.
Um,
Mhm.
and and now you're feeling those feelings of like of that. And you're like, well, no matter where I go, I'm going to face that.
Mhm.
So like that fight or flight doesn't work. And then
Mhm.
you're just like, okay, I stay here and I have to absorb it. And how much can I absorb without like breaking down?
Mhm.
And so you just kind of, I don't know, you just kind of take the moment and smile at the moment if there is a reason. And then you just have to kind of, I don't know. I don't know what the answer is. It's just like I'm
Mhm.
moving, but I
Mhm.
don't know where I'm moving to. And that's been a very weird feeling for me because all my life I've been really directed. Like I know, I feel, I just, go. But suddenly I don't I don't have that anymore. So like my compass is
Mhm.
like in circles.
Mhm. Yeah. It makes sense, as what with what's going on. And you've been talking about moving, and your children are in the army. You have two children, or one child?
No, just one daughter
One daughter.
in the
Okay.
army.
And so what does that mean for you? What does that look like for you?
I mean, it's a challenge. She's relatively safe, but she just told me about something else that had happened, and you know, because she's relatively safe today doesn't mean she's going to be relatively safe tomorrow. You don't really know.
Mm-hmm.
Even my children that are with me, I don't know. They have to go to school, they have to come back. I don't know.
Yeah.
So you live in this level of uncertainty, and even though tragedies happen that were not exactly close to where I live, that doesn't mean that it can't affect you know can affect me another moment.
Yeah.
Um, but then you think, okay, that's kind of dramatic. Like, okay, I'm okay right now. But you have to also see the reality. I guess I feel like, maybe many people on the line who are listening, like, and that they may have been through this because, many people from war,
Yeah. Yeah.
go to the United States, go to different places, come to Israel, they've come from different
Mhm.
places.
Yeah.
Um, and there's really nowhere to run. And I think this groundedness, that's what I was going to say. So like, about a few years ago when I started coaching, I was in the spiritual high.
Mm-hmm.
And then I went into this period of balance and grounding. So to ground both the practicality and, like the grounding of the earth into the sky. And we are like a
Mm-hmm.
medium.
Mm-hmm.
And so as that medium, these different energies are flowing through. And, yeah, I guess the question or the open question is, where do they go? How do you cleanse them um, in a constant cleansing motion? Because
Mm-hmm.
it has to affect you, on some
Mm-hmm.
level.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And if you're an empath, you're feeling the fears rippling through each person in your city, in your state, in your country. As an empath, when a bomb goes off in another side of the world, you feel just, you don't know why. Maybe you feel angry, you feel upset, you feel like you want to cry, you feel it. These energies, like you said, they don't just dissipate, they do not.
Mhm.
We have to understand this very clearly, that energy does not just dissipate. We have to understand the energy of war has been implanted throughout our world, throughout our ley lines. A lot of
Mhm.
dark institutions have been placed upon our ley lines for the purpose of the veins of this earth to pulse with fear and trauma. And it is really, really time for us we can't, like, we can't battle the same way in which the war is created, but we must find ways to counter through our own emotional intelligence and our own divinity. And I really believe that if somehow we could find a grounding together, a place in which we could settle into a safe space, and find some peace, within us, and perhaps meditate together for world peace. Like it would be astounding if we could get maybe, like 5,000 people. I'm talking about like big, that's big, right? For us, that's big. So, but still, even 100 people in one area would affect the entire energy. It really does. Like they have had studies, and I don't have it in front of me, so I can't read that, but there have been many studies showing the power of our meditation, how it does shift consciousness and everything around us in our environment. And I believe it was like miles out from where we were meditating. So we affect our environment just as our environment affects us. So it's kind of a two-way thing here. And I think one thing humans have really been having a hard time knowing, and myself so included, because so many of us have gone through like such intense and hard times in many different ways, whether it be psychological, mental, emotional, physical, spiritual, or financial, um that we start to get entrained in being feeling like a victim. And I'm talking universally, like all of us on Earth. And there are many reasons to feel that way, because there are many perpetrators, and those who create war are perpetrators. And so how do we get back some of our power? Because we get, in some ways, it's like when we're sitting at the edge of fear and trauma, it can be really challenging to be present, like you said, in the now. And so I'm just thinking out loud, but maybe we could talk about, the certain prayers or the pillars of light or the black flame and the things that you've been taught and that I've been taught, and really kind of accessing our toolkit a little bit so that we can at least create some harmony, even energetically in our own home, because that's, we're all in our own home right now, so we need to start there, you know what do you think about that?
Yeah, I think that's true. I mean, I think that I don't even know if it's fear anymore. It's just more of like a, kind of an acceptance that there's nowhere to go. But I wanted to share before we go into the healing is that Lynn McTaggart, you may know her. I know I read her book and I was part of some of her meditations. She did that, so she talks about the power of eight and how eight is like a special number of when people sit together and they focus and meditate on something that it ripples, there's a ripple effect. And then she'd have like these free meditations where everyone is together all over the world. And she's it's through a certain energy that we all focus on something. And yeah, it's always been really great. So there's something to what you're saying. There's a lot of truth to that. And she wrote a book on it. So if
Hmm.
anybody wants to learn more, definitely look up The Power of Eight by Lynn McTaggart.
Wow.
Um,
So she was saying, excuse me. Wow, my throat's going out. Okay.
yeah. So she
Interesting.
did these experiments and she wrote about them. And she actually
Mhm.
has calls where people can join.
Mm.
And yeah, and I've joined a few of them.
Oh, how
Um,
beautiful. I would love to join. I actually thought about it for I've been thinking about it too long and not taking enough action, that I would like to do uh free group meditations where we can gather.
yeah,
Um
we should do that. That
yeah,
would be
for
really good.
higher purpose, because I really believe in that, and I know that we can really affect our timelines through ourselves, through the consciousness running through us. And it's just like when, there are studies like when somebody's observed and they may not know it, the way that they are is affected by the observer. So as we're observing these situations, how these situations play out may be affected by how we observe them. And
Hmm.
so, I mean, I'll have to like really sit down and look at all the statistics and such, but I just know the power that's available to us, and that we mustn't forget the power of our community, and the power of our intention, and the power of our hearts during these times where we are all faced with different kinds of challenges, very, very different, but still, nonetheless, um there is that, like impending doom feeling going on. And so I think it would be wonderful to kind of counter that. and
Oh
and
yeah, I totally agree with you. We can definitely talk about some healing methods, but I think that what you said about doing meditation may be a really good idea. Maybe we could do something weekly or and have certain times where people can join and we just have an open whoever wants to,
Mhm.
and we could, either we could do it together. I think it would be nice if we did it together because we're different sides of the world.
Yes, I do. I
Um,
think so.
and then offer, I don't know, as we feel fit, we can offer it if we have time or we need, or we just sometimes we need assistance, and it's not about hearing somebody or it's just the energy of love, right? That's what we're here
Mhm.
for. This is the
Mhm.
this is the new consciousness of love. And I think that what's really happening is that we're feeling the hate, we're feeling the discontent, we're feeling the stripping of everything. As you said, the food prices are going higher in the United States. So it's like you feel like you don't have anything anymore,
Mhm.
but you're still working.
Yeah, you're working
You're
harder
still
than
doing
that,
everything
hard
you're
as ever.
supposed to. And so I think that when we strengthen each other
Oh.
through meditation, um, we have this renewed sense of perspective that you
Mhm.
mentioned that suddenly opens up doors that we didn't see when we were, you know, in our own spaces.
Yeah, that's so important. I really feel that there is the silver lining. The opportunity lies in how we can fill these spaces, because these become voids in our hearts, again, those feelings of hopelessness and aloneness and doom and gloom. So, where this is a perfect opportunity for us to deepen our connection to ourselves, to the divine, to the earth, to each other. There is the opportunity, and I would love to do that with you. I would love to host meditation sessions that are free for all for the communities across the world. And I've always envisioned connecting people across the world, and that's what I've always tried to do in our books, is get people from
Hmm.
other countries, because I think there's something extremely important about that, that we have to understand. We have brothers and sisters all over, and we're not, it's like our nation doesn't define us. We are human beings, first and foremost, and we're earthlings. We're the earth people. We're the people of earth. And so therefore it's important to maybe start kind of viewing through different lenses, trying on different lenses, and seeing if we could have a more expanded kind of view. And I think that's where the beauty is, is we can find each other through the process. We can find each other through this, and have deeper connections and more meaningful relationships. And yeah, so that's just I'm really grateful for this conversation, because it's in many ways it's been heavy. It's really heavy in the USA. The the temperature is very high as far as political scene, and
Hmm.
the divide is how it started, during COVID, and it hasn't ended.
Hmm.
The rift only gets bigger and bigger, and people are hating each other, like pure hatred, like real hate in their hearts are turning black because they may not like the person you're going to vote for. And it's becoming, the feeling is almost it feels so unhinged. Like people here, they feel so unhinged at this time. And it's very concerning. You just don't know if somebody's going to go off, because it's like people are really losing touch with reality and whatever that is. But reality, perhaps I should say, they're losing touch with the divine, because they're getting
Right.
so polarized and not unable to understand, what, you have a right to vote for who you want. I have a right to vote for who I want. These are our rights. We have a right to have free speech. All these things are being challenged that we've taken for granted. But I know that, it's been predicted for a long time that, we're coming through the end of these ages, the Kali Yuga to the Satya Yuga,
Hmm.
that this has been foretold by the ancients. It's not something that's really a surprise, but it is a surprise when you find yourself in the middle of it.
Right,
And
right. You know what I was thinking as you were sharing is that like also all these large companies, they lay people off. I think people are just being squeezed, and so that maybe the election is a way for them to release some of that pent up energy. But we've just named a few things that are happening in the States, but also all over the world, where just you're feeling squeezed and you don't
yeah,
know, you have no security, you have no strong footing. The only thing you have is your legs, and your body, as long as, even if it isn't working, like you still have
you have your
the
breath.
movement. Because I went hiking today, and all I have is like my next step, like that's what
Mhm.
you have. And you know what that next step is because you're there.
Mhm.
So, but I think that feeling of love that each of us have, that I think is underneath all of these political issues, that we're unwilling to sometimes release.
Mhm.
unwilling to accept another. It doesn't matter if you're at war or you're just fighting over a president. It's like it's the same kind of feeling.
Mhm.
Um, and that's and I feel like that's what this whole movement over these many years has been about. It's like accepting each other, regardless of our differences, regardless of our religious affiliations or having none.
Mhm.
Um, and we don't have to be the same.
Yeah.
But we have the right to exist.
Mhm.
I say that in many, well, however anyone wants to take that, you can take it, but we all have the right to exist, and we can exist peacefully. I really do believe that. Regardless of however long these wars go on, there will be peace at some point. But I feel like as we do these meditations, as we share our healing knowledge with each other, we open up the space in our own hearts to walk in this tumultuous time with the security of the divine within us. And I feel like that's all we really have. We can't look to another country. We can't even look to the land. All we can look for is opening up the divine within us.
Mm. Mm. Yes, and that is so, so beautiful. Thank you for sharing exactly how you did and being where you are and sharing that. It's actually prolific. Um, I recall, and a sage saying in a book somewhere that, during these most tumultuous times lies the greatest opportunity because we would not be really inclined to look inwards, had we not these situations that really pushed us to our limit,
Mhm.
we realized that yes, we are part of the world, but we also have a world within us. And how can we find that peace inside? Because we couldn't find it outside,
Mhm.
we couldn't find it looking into the world and looking for it. I mean, yes, we do. When we go to nature, of course we find peace, but I'm talking about, the bigger societies at large, and
Mhm.
the interactions, and we look to the leaders, quote unquote leaders. I just feel funny saying
Mhm.
that. And how they are offering no peace. In fact, they're just creating more problems. And the people that are supposed to take care of things, they're not doing it, and they're making everything worse. And so, this great guru said that this is the perfect opportunity where you can actually rise higher in your ascension that you ever have, or your divinity, or whatever you want to call it. You can rise higher in your spiritual growth in one lifetime where there's this kind of pressure than you could in like 100 lifetimes where you had a really mild life, and
Right.
so there.
Yeah, no, I totally hear you. Like my friend always says, like, everything happens for a good reason and it's happening for the best. We just don't always see it. And part, even our conversation today, right? I was having some challenges. You were just like, let's go on a podcast. And what are we creating? We're creating a meditation that's going to be free for everyone who can join, and we'll, come up with the details and share it with all of you very soon. But that's a beautiful thing. That's a beautiful effort that we didn't plan. This was totally unplanned. Anyone who's listening, totally spontaneous.
Well, it's
And
just
and
it's
I,
just the truth of what we're living, what you're living,
right.
what's happening, what's right in front of us right now.
Mm-hmm.
We actually were going to coming together to talk about the poetry group, but this is also part of it all because everything's connected, the expression, and I think it's also important to speak on things because when we hold them back within ourselves, they become dark embers, and they burn us, they hurt us. We have to express where we are, and I think it's a great service to that you shared, Gila, because it's important that people hear what it's like for you. And it's an important perspective. Let us have some empathy and understanding that we're all connected. We're just a call away from each other. And we you know, we are living, breathing humans. We all deserve to feel safe, to have the very basic safety of,
Mm-hmm.
feeling safe in our home,
Mm-hmm.
being able to buy food, just the very basics. We're not asking for a lot here. We're just asking, for the very basics. And um, so yeah, I really appreciate you just being vulnerable and sharing, and it gives us insight. It gives me insight. I don't usually watch the news because of that, all the stuff going on. And so, but when I hear it from my friend, I understand it much better.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, thank you for sharing, and thank you for inviting me today to speak on it because I think that um and I guess it's been hard to like go live or something because there's not there I don't have a lot of inspirational messages at the moment.
Mm,
But I think that yeah, that's what makes us real, like that's what makes us human, honestly, is to feel these feelings, is to be realize that we're more than just one facade that we've shown to whomever, group of people.
mhm,
There's more depth to that. And I think that that depth, makes us feel like we have something in common because everyone goes through challenges and sometimes deeper than others. But and as we both know, right, it's through these challenges, as you just shared, that we ascend, that we move into a different paradigm.
mhm,
And sometimes we don't understand that we need to go through this.
mhm,
um, but we do, and I guess I knew that in the beginning, but then somehow, how we have a free choice, right?
mhm,
We could choose not to, but
mhm,
I knew if I chose not to, I mean, I still know this, and I think this is a conflict I currently have, is like, I can choose to go to a different place, but it's not like I'm going to get anything better.
mhm,
It's,
mhm.
it's just a different kind of hell.
Oh my
But
goodness.
but the
I
heaven, I think, is not in the it's not in the realistic eyes. It's like reading between the lines, like the spaces between the branches of the leaves of the tree. It's
Mhm,
like that's the heaven. It's right there in front of us, but we can't see it yet because we're mired into the energy that people are exuding,
mhm,
because it's hard to uncover it. I can't, the words aren't coming
mhm,
out,
mhm.
but I
I
think
hear you
that
clearly. I hear you clearly. Yeah.
I think it's all there, right? We live in beautiful lands. You've
Yeah.
showed me pictures of where you live. I live as well, like on a mountain. I see the valley. I can see the clouds over I mean, it's beautiful.
Mm,
But we don't even see that because we're so lost in what's not working.
mhm,
And then it becomes blown out of proportion when we're having these types of challenges. We can't buy food, or things are really expensive, or there's a war going on. We hear about, suddenly like nothing's beautiful.
yeah.
Um, but if we just take that breath and realize we're still living, like I'm still here, my children are here, people are still here.
Yeah.
So what can we do with that moment that can create more love on this planet?
Mm, so beautiful. So beautiful. We sometimes read books about, the power of now and all of these, esoteric things, but there's nothing like really feeling the power of now because of our circumstances,
Right.
and it also makes us a little bit more like sentimental in a way. Like we can say, hey, like maybe we took things for granted. Like we didn't appreciate that we could see each other all the time. And maybe we can start really going, wow, it's so amazing that you get to be in my life and that we're here existing at the same moment. And I want to drop into more presence, and we just get so in our heads about everything. And I know I do, I do all the time. I get involved in the work that I'm doing, and so many other things that are happening in this in this current time. But we get caught up, we just get caught up, and it becomes so disengaging from our moment. And and so I really think breath work brings us right back. And I know that you do orgasmic breath work, and would you be open to leading us through a little bit of a breath work, or would you like me to lead, or
Yeah, why don't we can start with some of the orgasmic breath work and then see where it leads,
Mhm.
if you'd like to share some other type or we just meditate for a few minutes, wherever we go. But
Okay.
yeah, I can start it. So there, just a little bit of a background. So the orgasmic breathing is like any other regular breathing, but we're going to be using our body as well. So I would invite anyone who's listening to be sitting in some sort of manner, not lying down, either cross-legged or on the floor. I mean, with their feet on the floor, however, in a chair, whatever you want to do. And as we take a deep breath. I'll lead, I'll give you an example, and then you can follow. You can even look at yourself in the mirror. Sometimes that's actually really powerful. But wherever you are, however you want to do it, you can close your eyes. We're gonna take a deep breath and we're gonna release with our mouth. Allow yourself to put your undulate your back as we do this, as if you're doing yoga. It's like a yogic breath. I'm gonna do a few more, and you can follow me as you feel comfortable. Um, um, you can use your arms to release as well.
And we're making like a sigh, because a sigh, when we sigh, we're telling our brain we're safe. We're safe.
Yeah, it's like a sigh and a moan. It's like you're actually feeling pleasure as you release, and it lets you relax and release some of the tension that's currently in your body. Also because of the undulation of the back and any kind of other movement that just comes through as you're doing it. So just don't focus on the form. Just let your body move with your breath.
Okay.
Yeah. Uh, feel like putting your hands on your body as you're doing this, that can also be very helpful.
Oh, a lot of big yawns coming too. Oh,
And feel free, Radha, if you want to move into another type of breath.
yeah. It's amazing. When I kind of let out a sigh, I immediately felt my shoulders release, and they've been so tight lately. And
Oh,
it's just kind of
wonderful.
like all that tension slothed off. I'm like, "Oh, this is so light."
Yeah, thank you for inviting me to do that. Also, I feel a bit clearer, and we don't realize the tools that we have at our fingertips. We don't use them enough.
wow. And then afterwards, I felt like these huge, like mouth yawn, open, full open breaths. Like the body wants more oxygen,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of oxygen. Oh, wow. Oh.
Amazing. Amazing. Yeah, it can just shift your perspective immediately, um
Oh, the body really is like is really saying yes, like keep it going. It
yeah,
wants to keep
don't
absorbing
stop.
more. Oh, yeah, don't stop. I mean, wow, I guess it's bringing a tremendous amount of oxygen into the body, and it's amazing how much stress we can have on our shoulders and we don't even know it.
Yeah.
I thought about it today. I was like, I need to get a Thai massage. I love Thai massages because they pull you, squeeze you,
Yeah,
you
yeah, it's
know.
so good.
And this is that just felt like a mini massage right there. But
Yeah, and it's going back to our poetry course, right? It's like about giving yourself sensual pleasures. It could be a massage, it could be this kind of breath work. It could be taking a bath, spending extra time in the shower. These are all moments of pleasure. And I think we don't allow ourselves these small moments of pleasure, and they can actually shift us. I was shifted right now as well.
mhm.
So they could shift us tremendously from wherever we're at. And
I just
honestly, I think sometimes we want to stay there because I don't know, for some kind of weird reason. But I think when we are when we have these types of, we talk and when we have friendships that help us, we shouldn't ever discount that.
Yeah, that's truth. We need community. We need
Mhm.
people that are willing to go deeper with us and just be with us without trying to brush off the emotion, whatever it is, it is. And we transmute actually faster when we accept what is rather than going, oh, no, no, I'm not going to feel that way. And I don't want to talk
Right.
about it. What
Hmm.
you're doing is you're just having a carpet with a box door and you're just putting tons of stuff in there that is never resolved. I mean, it's not
Right.
that we're resolving anything. We're actually just being. And
Yeah.
that's what we speak about when we talk about,
Hmm.
doing our poetry and our poetry programs. And it's it's about being. It's really coming back into our being and to being embodied no matter what's happening in our lives, no matter what's happening in our lives, we can come back to our being. And it's beautiful. It's actually there's a lot of ecstasy in that. There's a lot of ecstasy, but we may need to just be lovingly reminded and just take those breaths together and just center together. And I even see how in partnerships, like you want somebody that you could breathe with. You want to have someone
Hmm.
you can ground with because life is going to shake you. you know
Right.
Circumstances are going to shake you. They're going to take your
Hmm.
breath away, and you got to get back to your breath, get back to your
Hmm.
center. And you want people in your life that can help you do that, that mirror that back to you so that you have a landing place and you can both be rooted together.
Yes, aho, aho, and so it is. These are these, conscious partnerships that we may not see, some of us, or we are in already, but they are being grounded right now in this time of challenge. And it could be anything, it could be platonic, it could be romantic, it could be whatever it is, but it's happening, and it's by holding space for each other, regardless, just because, right? That whole being, just
Just because.
because you are a being and we are beings and
Mm,
we are here to create something special together.
mm. Oh. So, I just want to introduce the pillar of light for anybody who may not have heard of it before. And I know you studied the pillar of light too, Gila, yeah?
I did, yes.
Mhm. So I'll just share a little bit about how I do it, and Gila, feel free to just jump in.
Okay.
because I absolutely love the pillar of light. I feel like it's a game changer in so many ways. I feel that it affects, it can really affect us in a positive way. It can really affect our surroundings in a positive way. It can really affect Mother Gaia in a positive way. And these are the energies that she's also bringing in, regardless of what we're doing. But she also appreciates it because, we've embedded so much darkness into her. She's like trying to slough it off, And so when we bring in these pillars of light, we're anchoring in light points on the earth. And that is how I always imagined also with the books, different authors anchoring in these light points into the earth through themselves and creating this network of light. And so for me personally, I like to just activate the pillar of light at home. So we'll do this together. And of course, feel free to kind of make it your own in any way. I have my own way of doing it. So I'm just going to share my way of doing it. Um so I just command and activate the pillar of light, be present and downloaded into my home. I imagine it first coming into me. So you can imagine it coming in like a lightning bolt into you, that light, pure crystalline light. And then that light is anchoring all the way down, down through the earth, all the way down, down through all the levels and layers of this earth, all the way down to the crystal core of the Mother Gaia. And as that's happening, there's also this beautiful expansion of the pillar of light starting to expand around you, throughout your house, in your home, through all the beings that live in your home, through, all the animals that live in your home, through everything, material in your home and all around your home is being, filled with this beautiful, radiant pillar of light. And then I command plasma light activate and fill that pillar up. And I see more beautiful, pure crystalline light just flowing like so fast down that pillar, down into me, down into the earth, down into the home, through every single thing here, really helping to elevate everything around me. And then I imagine a vacuum, what I call like God's vacuum cleaner, the divine's vacuum cleaner, being set up, and I see it like a tube around the house. And this tube is collecting any debris that does not belong on us in the house, on the pets, on anybody here. This is collecting anything that no longer serves us. If this pillar of light is sloughing off energies that don't belong to us, it's going into that divine vacuum and it's just getting sucked out. And I always say by the root, by the core, by the source, by the DNA, cellular level, genetic level, history level, soul level, karmic level, past, present, future, and prior lifetimes through all time, space, and history. Also clearing up anything, from the past. So basically our land, the land I'm on now, is, part of the Trail of Tears. And so there's a lot of trauma in this land. And so the pillar of light can really help to start to move through layers of trauma in the land itself, and so when a land has a lot of trauma, it can really affect us too, because we start to feel the vibration, if you're sensitive, of the old traumas. And we can feel if there was something that occurred here. Those vibrations can be discordant in our life, in our home, in our relationships, and therefore we want to dissolve them and resolve them and also bring acknowledgement to them. So acknowledging everything that's been here before me, acknowledging the keepers of the land that lived here before me. It's always important to acknowledge the land and the keepers of the land wherever we are, because there are those beings that have been here before us. And if they don't really like you because they think you're disrespectful, you may have a hard time. And for example, somebody I know they built over like a burial site for natives, and it was really, really tragic what happened to them. So, you have to really you really have to talk to the land too, and have consideration. So the pillar of light is really restoring the divine integrity, the divine blueprint of the earth prior to any traumas, any yeah, anything like that. So you just take a deep breath and just kind of let it saturate you. You can feel it coming through your crown chakra, and as it comes through your crown, you can feel your crown activating. Let it go through all of your chakras, just kind of giving you a nice little wash, cleanse, purification. Oh. And then if you feel inclined, you can do two things towards the proximity around you. So you could do, I'm going to activate the pillar of light like 100 feet around me. I'm going to activate the pillar of light 100 miles around me. But for me, I like to just do the home and anchor that, and then you can do another layer of the pillar of light, or as I talked about before, the black flame, which is just an energy. And I really love the black flame because it moves out distortions really fast. And it's kind of like where there's darkness, like it dissolves darkness basically in different kinds of ways. Um and then of course I always ask for that divine vacuum cleaner because there's a lot of garbage that gets removed. But hypothetically, we could truly do this for the earth itself, and we could literally quite imagine now that the entire earth is being activated with a pillar of light. And the pillar of light is streaming through the earth, through every layer of the earth, through every particle of the earth. And it's just starting to wash, cleanse, and purify. And of course, we can imagine, or we could even imagine a ball of light around the earth. Um, and then imagine like a round spherical kind of vacuum cleaner around it, just kind of sucking out all this debris, all this darkness, all these shadows, all of the darkness that doesn't really belong here because it's not serving us anymore. It's actually not at the service anymore. At some point, we had to learn from darkness, but it's really not the case at this point. Either you've learned from it or you've become it. So you've already made your choice. And so we're just going to ask, that this beautiful, beautiful, beautiful divine plasma light start to bring back life to the waters, to the soil, to the animals, to the humans, through every structure, every being, every layer of this divine earth, through every plant and animal and all that exist on this earth. And anything that is not vibrating on this frequency, we ask that it start to dissolve and resolve on all levels, layers, and lifetimes, and get sent back to source for its divine resolution. And Gila, I'd love it if you would share anything that comes to you through you.
Oh, that was really beautiful. I just seeing all these images of life, of fertility, of multicolored, as you were talking about the crystalline light, you really see like in prisms, how you could see all the colors coming out. Like those are the images that were coming to mind. And as you bring this light in your house, you can begin to move it, just further and further, slowly, if that's what works for you, or encompass the entire earth, as you mentioned. So yeah, just all these beautiful beautiful colors, even dark colors. There's beautiful plants that are dark,
Hmm.
insects that are so helpful that, we don't even see in the middle of the night. And they all have serve a purpose, right? That's why we
Yeah.
have these like these beautiful, all these colors. Because, and even that, I love to have, it's coming to me now, but, I love these images of the deep ocean
Mm.
because it's so dark. I see this National Geographic with my my previous husband, but like, and they create this light, these like they have ways to see.
Mm.
So I just love that image of, as you go into the depths and you uncover it. That's what the pillar of light does for us as well, right? You took us all
Yeah.
the way down into the crust of the earth where, it's dark, but
Yes.
the light can penetrate anything.
Hmm.
And even if you don't see it, it's still opening up the spaces.
Yes. Yes. You have to look with your third eye. You know,
Right.
there's more than meets our eyes. Our eyes are limited. That's why we close our eyes to meditate, and there's more that we can see. There's so much more available to us that we haven't tapped into. We don't know all of who we are and all the gifts that we have because we've been heavily misguided and repressed. And it's our job to remember. I mean, it's our job to start questioning things and to say, am I still aligned with that belief that I had? When I went to this organization, is that still part of who I am? Is that what I still believe? Because you are allowed to change and you're allowed to radically change. And I've seen people, in these few years that have made radical changes in who they are. And that's why it's important not to pin people to their past. Our society wants to cancel everybody in different ways and wants to find the moment of your weakness or the moment of your downfall and then try to regurgitate that and make that who you are now, even though you've done so much work, transmuted so much pain in darkness and brought in so much light, and so you have to remember who you are in this moment, really allowing the past to start to disconnect from those old stories because we share stories in some ways to share the experience, but we don't have to own them. This happened, but that's not who I am, because who I choose to be in this moment is so unique to my connection to the divine. You can't compare it. I was maybe offline before, but now I'm getting online. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I love that analogy. And I wanted to share, recently, I was actually just listening to something today. I've never heard them before. They're called glass beams. And I was watching them and they wore masks. I don't know if you've seen this trend. There's a bunch of these bands. I don't know how old they are, but they don't show their face.
Hmm.
And it's not a scary mask, it just like, and you don't even see their hair, like I've seen another band do this, and I think it's kind of cool because, you stop looking at them and you just listen, like you feel with your body.
Yes.
And even the name, I don't know what it means, but to me, it's like, you can you're beaming through energy.
Mhm.
And it has nothing, like we said, nothing to do with your eyes,
Mhm.
nothing to do with what you see.
Mm.
um and
Powerful.
it's that feeling, it's that sensuality, it's the truth, because we say when we feel it in our body, in our gut, like we know what the truth is. and
Exactly.
i
Exactly.
and
That's
I
so important. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I think I just brought it to mind as you were speaking. We were talking about light, and I don't know, it just somehow I thought about it today, like, wow, it's so interesting. But I think that it's just reminding us to we're wearing a mask, but when you actually physically wear a mask, you realize that there's nothing to fear. There's, that your authenticity is actually the most beautiful thing
Mm-hmm.
that you're on this earth to offer.
Mm. Mm.
So yeah, that's what
That's
came
so
to mind.
beautiful. That's so cool. I've got to look that up. So I was just imagining, like the energy coming out of the singers. And so many times, like we get obsessed with people, their looks, right?
Hmm.
And then we've come to a society that worships looks, and so we don't feel the energy behind it. And this is where a
Hmm.
lot of, narcissists hide, because they're often really good looking or whatever.
Hmm.
And so I think it's so important to develop our third eye, to develop our ability to feel and to see from a higher perspective, and not just our lower senses. And our eyes have been trained to be lustful, in the sense of we we're not just seeing the truth of people or whatever's in front of us, whatever it is. We're talking about any kind of illusion at all. And so we've kind of been trained to believe in illusions. And so learning to look with our higher eye, with our third eye, we can see through things. And that's actually part of our preservation as humans, is we really need to start seeing from a different perspective, so that we can have self-preservation, so we aren't being susceptible to predators, whether it be war or in our personal lives. um it's important to have that insight, to have that intuition.
Yeah, yeah, I totally agree. Um, it's just, I think the more, it's what we said earlier, like when we started, we talked about meditation. It's like when we go within, we find the truth. And sometimes, as I was today, lost in the without, until you helped me to come back within. And I just quickly looked up this band, and they wear the mask so that you can listen to the music. They don't sing. It's just all instrumental.
Very
But I
cool.
think, yeah, it's very cool. It's really beautiful, actually. But I think even like, we criticize, or we say, oh, these women, the women wear burqas, they cover themselves, whatever they decide, however they decide to live, that's completely their business.
Mm,
But I think there is, and they said there's also a mystery to who they are, because we don't know what they look like.
yes.
Um, which is also kind of intriguing. It's like sometimes when you cover things up, the slow burn, like
Mhm,
but I think it's true about our own selves, right? When we are covering ourselves up inside, suppressing things, we're not allowing, us to find who we really are. We go back into our poetry about in sensuality. We don't allow that to open up, because we close it.
mhm,
And I feel like as we create safe spaces, we're able to open that up, and really, you know, we're so vast.
mhm.
We're like unbelievable beings, and we just don't see it.
It's so true. I love it because it's so true. And sometimes we just need to be held in a sacred space, or just have somebody, that can help us remember. We do remember. We just sometimes we need a friend. Sometimes we need we just need that, because we are humans, and we get it's easy to get lost in all of our dramas. And it's not that they're not real, because they're real, but also to give us different perspectives. It's very helpful. And I think that's why we're also driven to do what we're doing, like to create these poetry programs, to invite men and women into them. I think in our heart, it's we've always wanted to bring healing. We wanted to bring beauty, we wanted to bring passion, we wanted to help others remember their own beauty, healing, and passion that lives inside of them. And maybe it's dormant, maybe it's just needs some gentle TLC to remember. And coming back to those spaces again and again can create such a prolific growth within ourselves. And and I think, we were all driven by different things, and I think, in a sense, Gila, like we both have that drive to create more beauty, more love, more healing, more divine expression in this world. And we do that by, writing our own poetry, and also by being pillars for others to step into so that they can remember themselves and reactivate themselves and be empowered within themselves. And that trickles, that keeps going. It's the gift that keeps on giving. When someone else feels so empowered in themselves, they become that pillar, and so on and so forth, and we keep activating each other in a positive way, that we know we can see ourselves, through many situations and challenges in life, and we can really keep some part of ourselves very, I guess, pristine or devotional. When I think of the pristine, I don't mean like, goody two shoes. I mean like divine. In this sense, we keep coming back to that devotion of, remembrance.
Wow, that was really beautiful. And I think it's so true. I know I wrote a poem with that same title. And I think it's when we remember that truth, right? And you helped me today, so thank you so much for just coming on this call and sharing and flowing with you. It really has done wonders. A gift from the divine, and I appreciate you. And I think that it's these moments where we can, you know, see the truth of love, how love can actually just shift everything. Um, and it's remembering that love. We've sometimes we forget, and because we don't see it in front of us, but we
Mhm.
have it in each of us. And
Yes.
I think these meditations we're going to create are going to be very, very powerful because it's going to help us to remember even more and create such beautiful moments, not just together, but even outside of it. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Gil. I so love, appreciate, and honor you. I see the beauty of who you are, and you've always inspired me too with, the poetry, um and so I think it's a beautiful gift to have that synergy. I really, really honor and appreciate it, and so grateful that we could create these spaces for others. Even though our worlds may be getting rocked in different ways, we're staying steady, and we're staying committed to this. And so we invite you in if you'd like to join us. I'll put the information below, and if you're interested in joining our meditation circles that we will be starting, that just was birthed today, then you are divinely invited, and we can't wait to be in your presence, and to share this beautiful gift with each other. So we will be coming shortly with that information. Until next time, though, we send you off with so much love and blessings.
Bye, everyone.